What's up, everyone? Welcome to the No Cap Space, and today we have a very, very special interview with Oklahoma's Payton Verhulst. Payton, you're our very first No Cap Space in-person interview. So this is, I don't know if you want to put it on your resume or whatever, but like
first thing.
This is a big moment here for both, for the No Cap Space.
Yeah.
So thank you so much first off
Thanks for having me.
joining. I want to let's go in chronological order here with your journey here in Oklahoma, because this whole season has been a roller coaster, but you're a unique style of transfer coming from Louisville mid-season. And that's not something like we see a bunch of transfers, but mid-season is a little bit more rare. Why was it important for you to make that transition in the middle of the season and kind of get here with that extra time?
Yeah, of course. For me, the fit just wasn't right at my previous school. And so I had known Jenny since she was at Drake, and I really, really loved like her style of play, the way that she coached, her as a person. And so for me, it was really simple. I didn't have to like reach out to a lot of schools or anything. Once I entered the transfer portal, I kind of knew I wanted to come play for Jenny, but it was just a matter of trying to make it happen.
Right.
And like you said, mid-season, there's really no easy way to do it. But it's been really smooth moving in here. Norman, I'm from Kansas, so Norman's like a lot about like how I grew up.
Similar,
yeah, exactly. So it's been really nice, not just the school, but also just the athletics, the boosters, everyone that's here is just so inviting.
Yeah, I'm born and raised here in Norman, so I get that.
Yeah.
I get the whole, being from Norman. It's a simple, it works.
Yes,
it works.
of course.
You mentioned your connection with Jenny, and I think that's interesting because you knew her before, but I think just basketball-wise, you being a player in her system, it just makes sense. The equation adds up really quickly. Talk to me kind of about your relationship with her and how that has both started when you first got here and now developed over the course of the time being here.
Yeah, I've known Jenny since I was probably in 6th or 7th grade. I would always go to her camps at Drake. And then obviously I have a little sister that plays, so she's really just been keeping in contact with her. And so really just seeing her, know her family, like seeing them grow and stuff, and then coming here, playing for Jenny, she's such like a coach's player.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's really nice to like have that type of relationship with a coach where it's not like they're talking at like a higher level or like they're up, but she's like, oh, we're all on the same level. And I feel like that's really unique with her style of coaching. And obviously, like you said, it really fits our system because we all get to see that level with her.
Right. I'm also kind of interested just with the mid-season transfer.
Yeah.
Is that something, let's say someone comes to you, a person looking to transfer, a player, would you recommend the mid-season transfer? What kind of pros were you able to gain from doing that? Obviously, it's a tough transition doing it mid-season, absolutely. But what were the benefits of doing that?
Yeah. For me, I really enjoyed coming in and being able to see like the offense and everybody kind of from a second perspective that I haven't been able to see before, and that I think is kind of unique to like the way coaches get to see. And I know I've talked to Liz a little bit about this year. Obviously, she is not playing; she's hurt, and so she gets to kind of see that same perspective. So I think seeing that before I even learned anything about the offense, learned anything about everyone's style of play, was just really nice, because now that I come out there, I'm like, oh, I remember when I was sitting on the bench, I saw someone cut back door and like, we didn't hit it, but like now I'm able to like maybe see that. So I think that was just a really unique perspective. Mid-season transfers come with all the cons, but for me, the pros much outweigh the cons.
So is that something you can like feel in your game now, like the perspective that you gained by sitting, like obviously no one wants to sit on the bench, but like being able to have that experience and be able to watch the game from that perspective, is that something that genuinely like you can tell the difference from before and after?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think also playing for Jenny's style of play is just, you're not afraid to make mistakes. So I'm not afraid to like make a pass and it go out of bounds or someone miss it. It's more just like, it's just a feel. Like I don't have to overthink. It's just like playing what I'm feeling.
And I'm kind of interested in now kind of diving into this season a little bit. Well, you did get to witness, obviously you didn't get to play with the senior class that graduated, but there was a lot of kind of question marks kind of coming into this season from the outside looking in, just because yes, there was talent on the roster, but just figuring out how everything was going to kind of piece together was an interesting equation when you lose that much talent. And then obviously Liz going down before the season begins, another piece that you don't have. Coming into this season, what did you kind of take upon your role to be in? How has that role either kind of grown throughout this season or has potentially changed from what you thought it would be in preseason?
For me, it's just, like you said, just trying to figure out that role. A lot of us were new to playing with each other. Not that it was a completely new team, but it was just people stepping into roles, even like Skylar, like she was 6th man of the year twice in a row, and now she's starting. So I think just stepping into that role where it's like you're the first, second, third people on someone's scout report rather than you're like towards the bottom. Not that that's just different, like, you know, playing that offense. So I think stepping into a role, Jenny's really big about like, we don't need to rely on like 1 or 2 people to come and score or take 20 shot attempts. It's kind of just like I said before, like feeling the game. Like if someone's hot, then we got to get them the ball. Yeah. But I think that also kind of speaks when you watch our game and look at our stats from this year. Like we have a lot of assists. We average a lot of assists. And again, like that's just the style of play. We're not afraid to just move the ball and find the open person, and everyone kind of has the green light. So
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it seems like from a fan perspective, like, it feels like the most fun system you could possibly ever play in. Like you just get to hoop, like it just purely hoop, like no thoughts, just hoop. And I love it. It's fun to watch, as you know, from my perspective on the sidelines. And I kind of get into this season. You mentioned finding new roles and everything. Obviously, there were some growing pains in non-conference. You guys go 6-5 in non-conference. Obviously, the whole thing has shifted now once you got the conference play. But focusing on the non-conference, how important was it to kind of take those lumps and be able to take those lessons that you had in those losses and now, and how do you feel like that actually prepared you for conference play?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think anyone likes to lose. I know no one on our team likes to lose. So going through non-conference was hard for us. Like that was something that we knew though. Even coming in and playing tough teams, or maybe going in and playing teams that we knew we should have beat, I think that only helped us grow. And a lot of it for us was that chemistry that just wasn't quite clicking yet. And so coming back after non-conference and starting conference, I think was just kind of like a new step for us. We knew we couldn't live like in those valleys or on the mountains that we were playing before. And so I think for us, it was just staying steady. And that's something that Jenny preaches a lot, is just like, the energy that we bring in every day is something that's going to affect us. And so I think just coming in with the mindset during practice, like give it your all, and eventually like it's going to show on the court.
Yeah, I do want to, I hate to ask about this game, but the loss against Southern, that is a game, that is a loss that could derail a season, could derail, that's not a loss you expect to take.
Yeah.
For you guys in the days kind of following that, like in post game, and then once you kind of got to digest it a little bit, how important is that now in hindsight? What kind of changed after that? Because after that, you guys go 5-1 to start Big 12 play, and you start rattling off wins. What changed after that Southern game that kind of flipped the switch for you guys?
Yeah, I think it just hurt. Like it hurt a lot, and ultimately we knew it was in our control. Like that game, we beat ourselves. And really, it seems like to us, every game we've played this year, like we feel like we could win and should have. And so I think it's all about just having the mindset of like, we don't want to be outplayed, you know, like we just want to go out there and give it our best. And at the end of the day, if shots aren't falling, we know that we played our hardest. Right. And so I think that is kind of just like what hurt the most from Southern. And then, you know, we got to go home for Christmas break and sit on the loss a little bit. So that sucked. But I think it really, like, our first day back from Christmas break, everyone was in here, everyone was getting shots up. And I think the hurt just made us want to get that much better.
Yeah. Because for me, visually, and I tried kind of, before this, I kind of looked into it. I was like, is there like a stat that changed or something? And honestly, now the turnovers went down. I think it went from about 20 turnovers in non-con to about 13 or so so far in Big 12 play. But honestly, it's not a statistic that feels like it's changed. It genuinely feels like you guys just gelled. And for you, what are the differences when you're playing? Like, can you feel that difference now? And when you compare, because it feels like two different teams, frankly, from non-con to Big 12 play. For you, what are the two differences, or what are the major differences between non-con OU and Big 12 play OU?
Yeah, I think, the biggest thing is just like that chemistry. We had not even like a young team, but just like I said, new to playing with each other. So I feel like for us, we were kind of still trying to fill each other out, trying to feel like what's the kind of like higher points of our game, and like we don't want to put people in bad positions. But I think like towards the beginning of the season in that non-conference, we were kind of worried about making mistakes. And so once we came back, I think we were at the point where like, well, it can't get worse than this.
Right.
You hit rock bottom per se. Like that's kind of like what our mindset was. So it was just like, okay, what's the worst that can happen? We lose again? Like, okay, we've been there. We've been at the bottom. So it's like, I don't know. I think we really just like flipped that switch. Like, I don't care if I cut and I'm open and they don't get me the ball, I'm going to get back out and someone else is going to get open. So I think it's just having that mindset, being unselfish, but being selfish when you need to be.
Yeah. So I'm kind of intrigued because I know if I asked Jenny this question, I know the answer would be no. We haven't thought about anything major. We are day by day, because I've asked her on plenty of occasions in the post. I know her answer. But for you, have you at any point, has there kind of been like a moment where you felt like in any game or anything that, okay, we're a team now? Because I felt like in non-con, it was a group of talented individuals. In Big 12 play, you guys are a team. Has there been a moment for you that you've been kind of able to reflect on where it's like, oh, okay, this is the game, or this is the moment where it's like OU became OU?
I mean, I feel like it's easy to say like a game like Texas where it's like, obviously that's a rival. They're a great team, but it's just like, it genuinely feels like every single game that we've played has just been so great. And like, it may not be 100% the entire game where it's like, oh my God, we're hitting every pass, every cut. But it's just like, there hasn't been a game since non-conference now that there's just been a complete let off. There obviously are games we want back. We want, you know, the K-State game back. We want West Virginia back. But I don't know, for us, I just feel like this is something that's clicked for real. Like, it's final. And so I think there might be times, I mean, basketball is such an up and down game. It's a game of mistakes. So I think it's like, we can't live off those mistakes. We just kind of like keep going.
I'm for you when it comes to the feel of the team itself, because I think for me there was times in those non-conference games where it's like the fight kind of went away, and that hasn't happened. Like, yes, you have the 2 losses in Big 12 play, but it's not because of a lack of fight. You know, it's not like it just kind of gave up. For you, is that something you can tell the difference in the team? Like, obviously, like the on the court product is better right now than it was, but it just feels like the vibes almost of the team as well are also just like, obviously winning will help that, but just the in-game fight, was there kind of a shift, or was there even a moment with that one as well where it's like, okay, we're just gonna fight and we're not gonna give up?
I remember coming back from like Christmas break, and our first game was UCF here. It was almost like we, obviously that was a game again, like we came in, we're like, we need to win, you know, but it just didn't feel like it was like, you know, the weight of the world was on our shoulders, like, oh my, we have to do this, we have to do this. It kind of just felt like we needed to learn how to win again. And after that first one, I think that's just kind of what got us rolling, because it was like, obviously we went to Charlotte, played North Carolina, we lost that game, came back and we're like, oh, you know, we're going to get Southern. And then obviously that happened. So I think it was just coming in and playing and not having to be like, oh, we need to win, but just like playing. And then once we finally did win, it kind of was just like, okay, well, now we know how to do it. And we kind of got that confidence under us now.
I mean, well, you guys have become very well educated when it comes to winning in Big 12 conference play. You guys sit at the top of the Big 12 conference. That, for me, the shift, like I said, it was 2 teams in the beginning, and it really kind of feels like that, where it's just like, yes, it's the same schemes, it's the same players, but it's 2 completely different levels of teams. For you guys, now that you've felt those lows, and now you've been feeling some incredible highs with these wins and the run that you've been able to go on in Big 12 play, how have you kind of been able to manage the difference between those and kind of be able to maintain that high level of play after the experience that you had earlier in the season?
Actually, Jenny said it like perfectly today in practice. She was like, we can't chase championships, they got to chase us. And so I think she's really big on like just going day by day, game by game. And I think that's something that's really kind of rubbed off on all of us, is like, we can't worry about, oh, you know, we go play Kansas at Kansas next. And obviously Kansas had a great game against K-State. It's kind of just like, at the end of the day, like, it's going to take care of itself as long as we do what we need to do. And so I think that's just where our mindset is. It's just take it one game at a time and just give it our all. And it's at the end of the season, we talked a little bit before this, just like, there's 4 games guaranteed left. And so obviously, like, we want to play more than 4. And so for us right now, like, we have 1 game guaranteed right now. And then when we go after this game, then there's 1 more. And so I think just having that mindset, 1 game at a time.
And obviously this next game, it doesn't really get much bigger than this next game. Like I said, I'm born and raised in Norman, so I understand the weight of OU Texas, and being able to, then you add, obviously, both teams ranked, and Texas being number 3. You have the Big 12 title implications for the regular season championship. You mentioned going day by day. How difficult or how easy has that been for you guys? Obviously, I know that's something that Jenny preaches on a day-to-day basis. Like, we hear it all the time in the press conferences and everything. For you and for your team, trying to kind of keep it on the same level, what does it take to do that?
I think just confidence and support and trust in each other. That's really something that has pushed us from non-conference into conference now, and propelled us kind of into what we've been doing. It's just like trust in each other, trust that our coaches are doing what they need to do and that they're putting us in good positions, and the same for our teammates. And so I think for us, obviously, like, we know this is a big game, but we're up for the challenge, and we're going to put in all the work that needs to be done in order for the outcome to be what we want it to be. But at the end of the day, it's going to take care of itself.
For you, Texas coming in, You guys picked up the win in Austin. Obviously, that's just another layer that adds into this. Absolutely. For you, biggest keys to this game to come out with the win and to be at the top of the Big 12 and to win the Big 12. That's like it's a lot going on there. There's a lot for you. Keys of the game for this one.
Yeah, I think just play our game, keep up the tempo, really value the possessions that we get. Like you said, I think the biggest thing that has been the difference in games that we have succeeded and maybe games that we've lost are just like really valuing possessions and you know, just playing our game. I think our team defense has just gotten so much better throughout the year. And so I think that's something that is just going to continue to get better. And I think our offense will take care of itself.
Yeah, actually, I want to ask you about the team defense because that has been something like, and it's a thing that's kind of hard to quantify. Like you can't really pick a stat out and be like, oh, okay, they're playing better team defense. It's not. It's something you kind of have to visually see. And there was one quote after the Kansas State win here. The Jeff Mittie, Kansas State's head coach, said that the windows were smaller than ever for them on the offense side of the ball because of the way you guys were defending. What has been the biggest difference for you guys there when it comes to? Is it just talking more? Is it communication? Is it movement? What do you kind of feel has been that big shift on the defensive side of the ball?
It's definitely all of that. Plus, I think I was talking about before, just trust. Like I can't tell Vea to go and pressure the ball if she doesn't believe that I'm going to be behind her and help. So I think it's just kind of all the certain pieces that you need for defense, but not even just for defense, but for the game in general. And as a team, I think that's just something that has grown so much. And obviously, like, I don't think Oklahoma's necessarily been a place that has been known for defense in the past, and maybe they don't give us enough credit. But at the end of the day, we don't care. We're just going to do what we need to do. And I think for us, we know that we can play defense and we know we can play offense. So we feel like we have a complete game.
Yeah, well, you guys have a chance to make a statement against Texas with your defense, with your offense. Also, I think for me, like I said, someone that's been here and lived here, I feel like this is a big game for women's basketball in Oklahoma. And Jenny kind of talked about that in the post-game press conference as well. The crowd against Oklahoma State was great. That was probably the best crowd of the season so far. For you, when it comes to talking to Sooner fans, how important is it to have that home court advantage, to have people come out, and how was the energy in that Bedlam game? Because it felt like, for me, I was looking around, I was like, oh man, they're getting loud, they're getting a little rowdy in here. So for you, and like, how much genuine impact does that have, and what is your kind of message to the Sooner fans trying to come out for this game against Texas?
Yeah, absolutely. It makes all the difference in the world when you have to go to places like when we went to Oklahoma State and it was Bedlam, and obviously they had a great crowd, and every time Lexi went on the floor, they were booing her. Where I was like, we're taking that personally. You know, like, absolutely. So, and even when we go to Texas, like they have their whole nice arena and they bring in their crowds and everything, and they have all the graphics. I think for us, it's just like, we play such like an attractive style of basketball. And I mean, even going back to like our last game against Texas, like such a high scoring game, like it was really great, like both sides, them and us. And so I think for us, it's just like the bigger impact that we can have, not even just like on the boosters, the fans that are coming, but on like those little girls or little boys that are coming in and are looking and like they want to play, they want to do what we're doing. I think it's just like such a perspective change, because like at the end of the day, like we're playing a game for people to come and watch. But like I just feel like it's so underrated, the impact that those people watching have on us playing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Payton, I wish you the best of luck in this game against Texas. Obviously, I mean, I'm hoping. I got my fingers crossed for Sooner fans to pack the LNC. Like I said, I feel like this is a big moment for women's basketball in the state of Oklahoma for this one. So best of luck to you. Thank you so much for joining us in the No Cap space. For everyone watching, make sure you like and subscribe for more interviews just like this and all types of women's basketball content. And we'll catch you next time.